Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Let's go ahead and get into the podcast. So this is our segment today. Oh, and by the way, y'all definitely listen to the next podcast that's going to be dropping. We just dropped a podcast last week with the amazing Hannah Davis, and we were talking about mental health, and it seems like the theme and metabolism's role in that. It seems like the theme has been on that. And so we're recording a podcast episode later on today that's going to be with the founder and inventor of BrainTap. So he's going to be talking about brain health and how to be able to make sure that your brain is healthy. And that's so important because what is it that the brain actually controls when it comes to the body?
Yeah, it controls everything. I mean, you live your life through your nervous system, above, down, inside, and out. There's an innate intelligence in all of us and all living things, and it runs through your nervous system. So Patrick Porter, as you guys, a lot of you know too, he's done a couple rounds of the Happy Healthy Thin program. He's lost almost 50, 60 pounds. Him and his daughter, Cherie, they've radically altered their lives. So there's a real connection to brain health, mental health, and metabolism. And it's crazy to me, or I guess it shouldn't be crazy at this point, how the medical industrial complex is diagnosing all these new mental illnesses and conditions, which I'm not saying they don't exist. There is depression, there is anxiety, but how are we separating an inflamed body chock full of refined flour, sugar, and seed oil away from an inflamed brain? Because an inflamed brain is a depressed brain. It is a brain filled with anxiety. It's a brain not functioning and adapting. So we're going to dive deep tonight with Patrick. And obviously, we love the BrainTap technology, the light therapy, the affirmations. We have a Happy Healthy segment on there. If you do own BrainTap, you can listen to Dr. Rob and myself take you through these affirmations with the BrainTap technology. Super, super cool.
I brain tapped this morning. As a matter of fact, it's my favorite thing to do. As soon as I wake up, in fact, I actually have my BrainTap unit is like literally sleeps on the pillow next to me, so I don't forget it first thing in the morning.
And yeah, so what would that look like? Everybody's getting sun in their eyes, they're grounding, they're brain tapping, they're in gratitude. Versus, you look at this now. I think I don't know the exact data, but I'm close on this. Don't hold me to it. But, America's around 3 to 5% of the world's population. As a kid growing up, you think America's like the whole world, and it's like 3 to 5%. Yet we actually consume over 65% of the world's antidepressants. So you think about that number right there. We're this small group of people. We are gobbling up the world's majority of antidepressant medication. And I just can't figure out, how are we all that depressed? Are we really that chemically dependent on these type of drugs? Which, by the way, one of the main effects of antidepressants is that they cause severe weight gain. They're estrogenic. They wreck your gut. They trick the brain. They don't provide satiety. So you're talking about more drugs that make you more sick, more inflamed, more overweight. And on top of that, that makes you more depressed. So I just don't know that always should be the number one way as we go straight to a drug. How do we move our entire faith into a system that sells the fear and the panic? Obviously, whoever sells the panic sells the pill. You got to look at this research and who's funding it, which kind of leads us into this article we pulled up. It's one of the trending topics right now, and it's talking about long COVID symptoms, a greater burden of disability than heart disease or cancer, new study shows. And my bull crap meter goes off immediately when I read a title like this, because it really seems like they're throwing us off the scent or the trail of not long COVID or COVID symptoms. This sounds like, to me, they're throwing us off the trail of what this vaccine did to millions and millions of people when they put this crap in us, and everything they told us, guys, is a lie. It didn't stop.
Hold on with that. Here's what I want to say, just to your point right there with it being a lie. Here's what the article says, and here's what it is that the media is wanting you guys to believe. It says people who survived COVID-19 early in the pandemic before there were vaccines continue to be at higher risk for a slew of health problems for up to 2 years after they got their initial infections compared to others who didn't test positive. A new study finds, and that was especially true if they were hospitalized. So what you guys need to be able to see is anything that's out there in the media is going to be slighted towards taking the vaccine and saying that this isn't a problem that existed, or the solution didn't exist until there were vaccines. So you gotta look, the writing is right there on the wall that we are being lied to, you guys are being lied to, and the fact that you're a part of this community lets you know that we're always gonna give you guys the truth and let you know, we know a lot of people in media. And because we know a lot of people in media, we know a lot about the behind the scenes about this and why people are literally being forced to give this information out, not because of their own personal beliefs, but it's because of the beliefs of the pharmaceutical industry, who is actually paying those media outlets to actually be on their media outlets. And so you always have to follow the trail of the money and who has the most of it, because they're always going to slight things to their benefit. There's no incentive for sick people to be healthy because you can't give a healthy person drugs, right? And so that you just think about that for a minute. So the fact that you're in this community means that you have the information that you need to be able to make more intentional, better decisions. So you're not going off a cliff with the rest of the sheeple that are going off of that cliff right now. And so you know the truth. And here's what you need more than anything is you need belief in that truth. You need belief in the fact that God put an amazing healing power in your body. And when you have a belief in that, then you look at these things, you look at all these articles as going, you know what, that's complete BS right there. I know that my body can heal, my body can be well, and I'm not going to believe that for 1 second, because if you go into that model, as we were just talking about before we came on, a friend of mine who's in the hospital right now with cancer are in that system, hook, line, and sinker, are buying into what it is that they're telling them. His wife actually showed a photo of what the cost is right now for the cancer medication, and the medication for them is $35,000 for just one round of that chemo right there. So that right there shows you all you need to know is they scare literally the heaven right out of you into thinking this is the only thing that you can do in order to overcome this and be healthy. So you have to do this and now pay us for that as well. There's no money in you guys being healthy. So just think about that when you see these articles. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to read the crap that they're putting out there to try to get us to believe that, coming from a quote credible source, which is not credible at all.
No, well said. So going back to what you just said, we do have a lot of friends in the media, and they're exiting. It's a mass exodus. They are now leaving the media because of the controlled narrative. As you guys know, one of our good friends, a lot of you guys who look up to and respect Dale Bigtree, that's what he had to do. He was literally won an Emmy out there in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, for the doctors, for Dr. Phil, and he wanted to do a piece on the other side of the vaccine coin. All they talked about was how amazing they are. Nobody would let him talk about the problems that are associated with this type of strategy and the damage that it had caused to millions and millions of people. And so when they said, you can't do a show on that, you know, it makes you think, why would they not want me to dig and go down that rabbit hole? Why are they controlling the narrative? Why have they scrubbed the internet? Why are they're basically calling things disinformation. And when Dale went down the rabbit hole, like a lot of us all have, you find out, wow, no freaking wonder. It's dark, it's sick, it's heinous, it's calculated, and it's evil in every single way. And so Dale literally left the industry. And as you guys know, has this amazing show, Highwire, and the nonprofit ICANN movement, which we're all big supporters of. But yeah, listen, the crazy part about this is that they lied to us about every single thing. And now we can see it. So when they pull this crap again, and they're going to, you have to wake up. If you look at the statistics, when COVID was this, this pandemic, this virus sweeping the world, if you haven't noticed, flu completely went away. Did everybody notice that? What happened to the flu virus? There were no cases of the flu. So all they did was reallocate it and move it to a different name, because if COVID was sweeping the world and the flu virus didn't just magically go away, there should have been millions of more people dying and millions of more cases of this new virus. And none of that is true. Nobody else died that wasn't going to die. I'm not saying people didn't die, but nobody died that wasn't already immunocompromised. And flus don't just go away. Heart disease and cancer doesn't just go away when you start reallocating and doing multiple diagnoses in these comorbidities. So you have to start looking at this stuff. Look who's funding it. Look at the narrative. The media is controlled. The media, as you guys know, is a mouthpiece for the medical industrial complex, the entire alphabet mafia, the CDC, the WEF, the WHO, the NIH. They don't make money when we're educated, smart, healthy, not on medications, and taking control of our health. All that to be said, guys, never lose faith that you are your own best advocate and you're the greatest doctor in the world. That doctor's inside of you. That's why at Happy Healthy, we're not claiming we treat or cure anything. That's just not what we do. We already know there's already that doctor that does that. But our job at Happy Healthy is to help us all navigate through this bull crap so you don't end up back in the system, just like your friend who's laying in a hospital bed. When you show me that picture, it's just hard to believe. How do you end up in that system? But it's 30, 40, 50 years of breaking laws of health, trusting the system that we've all been taught to trust. And then when you're in the system, now the clause you're in, I've said this before, it's like the medical system. They pull out a bat, they break your legs, then they give you crutches and say, see, what would you do without me? Dear God, you've got to be kidding me. So outside of emergency care, which is 2% of our healthcare system, we're using the medical system for way too many things. We don't want to reallocate trust in a system that doesn't benefit when we are healthy.
Yes. Okay. So this next article right here is time is brain. More Americans waiting longer for best care after stroke. So when you look at this right here, as far as stroke goes, being a cardiovascular condition, which we already know happens as a result of inflammation inside the body. We also already know when you go through our Happy Healthy Thin program, it's decreasing inflammation in the body. It's helping your body to be able to be healthier in all aspects, including cardiovascular health right now. So what they're talking about is people suffering strokes need to transfer to different rooms, different hospitals, et cetera. And there's delays getting these people from one place to another. And because of these delays, it's delaying them being able to get the medical care quote that they need. Here's how we prevent this, and here's how we help this. Let's not ever get ourselves into that condition to begin with. It's like the whole adage, if you know what a full Nelson is or a figure four in wrestling, how do you get yourself out of a figure four?
You don't get in one.
Exactly. So don't get into it in the first place. And so, you read these things over and over and over. And you know what? Our heart goes out to people. If there's an emergency situation, and that's what our healthcare system is great at, which is why they shouldn't call it a healthcare system to begin with, right? It's not a healthcare system. It's an emergency care system. And so, call it what it is. That's exactly what it is. And so, heaven forbid you're in an emergency situation. I know I have been in that situation. Was to help me be able to get out of that emergency situation. However, I don't use that for healthcare. So stop using the system to somehow get you healthy. It's not working. That's why, again, we can't stress this enough when it comes to the best way to not get into that is stay connected to this community.
Yeah, I want to brag. Yeah, stay connected, guys. The value of community and like-mindedness, it allows you to be vulnerable, real, and get to the next level that you want to go to. But I want to brag really quickly on one of my favorite Happy Healthy clients. It is my sweet mom. I had the privilege of getting to hang out with her all this last week. She was here in Dallas, Fort Worth. My mom will be 75 in October. And my mom is really the embodiment of this happy, healthy life. She's on no medication. She doesn't use the medical system. It doesn't really bring any value. The last time she used the medical system, they cut out all of her organs and left her on hormone replacement therapy and medication. And she still had the headaches that she had before getting the surgery, which was the hysterectomy. This was back years ago. So my mom now the last 15, 20 years left the system. I helped her go. And it's pretty cool to see because she's living this amazing life. She doesn't take the drugs. She doesn't do the vaccine. She doesn't use the medical system outside of an emergency. And I had the chance to ask my mom, I'm like, Mom, how did you grow up? And what did y'all do for health as a family? And she goes, well, number one, we didn't go to doctors as a family. They just didn't go. They lived out in the country. You just didn't really go to town that much. And she said that they had milking cows on the property. So they had like 40, 50 acres. They had milking cows. My mom would milk fresh raw milk, and they all drank raw milk. And guess what they also did with that raw milk? They churned butter. So I'm like, so did y'all ever use like vegetable oils or any type of seed oil? She goes, we didn't even know what that was because we also, they slaughtered hogs. So they cooked everything in pig lard. They cooked everything in butter. They drank raw milk. And then my mom said they would slice up like these pork medallions, put them in some type of a container, render down the animal fat, then pressure cook it and store it. So they would eat real animal fats, lard, butter, raw dairy milk. And then they had chickens. They had chickens outside getting sunshine, eating insects. They ate eggs. They had a few fruit trees. They had a massive pear tree. So they eat fruit when it was seasonal. And the most money my grandfather ever made, his number one producing income year was $5,200. So my grandfather, my grandmother, my mom and her three sisters, they ate real food. They didn't go to the doctor. They didn't end up on medication. It is pretty cool to see that now as we look at it, ancestrally consistent, going back for full circle, going back to what nourished us for generations. How in the world did we get smarter than what God already made? It just doesn't make any sense. So pretty cool. I'm so glad I had that conversation with my mom. Some of you may have similar stories of your parents or grandparents, but really, really cool. We're not teaching you guys anything that's revolutionary. It's just ancestrally consistent, and it makes sense with the laws of health. You just can't outsmart God. Every time I've tried, it doesn't ever work.
No. So this next article right here, COVID-19 linked. Everything is all this COVID stuff. Can you actually see the narrative? Yeah, mark our words. There's going to be another virus. We're coming up into with the elections coming up. You mark our words. The writing is already on the wall with that. But this says COVID-19 linked with higher risk of high blood pressure. Study finds. Well, here's the other thing that you're seeing. Now watch. God's given us 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth, really, to be able to watch what's happening and to listen more than we're speaking. Okay. So if you watch and you listen, look at what is happening. As an example, the football player last year that played for the Buffalo Bills, quote, healthy person drops dead, massive heart attack. His heart stops after revive him on the field. Most of you have probably heard about this or saw it. He's back in the NFL. He's playing this year. But how does somebody who is one of the most fit athletes on the face of the planet drop down, massive heart attack right there, right? Nobody even hit him. And then the next thing is you look at, for example, LeBron James, his son. If you looked at that, drops down, massive heart attack in the hospital. Again, healthy person. How does that happen? What they're not telling us is the side effects to the jab that they got, right, for the COVID-19 is causing massive blood clotting, where they're literally pulling out of cadavers these massive blood clots out of the blood, to where, and the reason that how they found this is when the coroners would go to like embalm the bodies, they couldn't actually get the embalming fluid through there, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. So what they were seeing is that there were these massive, just like pulling out these massive just clots out of the bloodstream. And what they did is they were able to link that back to the vaccines, because these were not things that were happening prior to 2020 when people started getting these things. And so the hypertension isn't being caused because of the COVID-19, it's being caused because of what they're giving those people for that. So just something to think about, because healthy people, this does not happen to. So you just got to look around. Again, I don't have to read the article to let you guys know that it's not, COVID-19 didn't cause high blood pressure. It's a health or a lack of health in that person or that body being in a state of disease, or dis-ease, a lack of ease, caused by whatever chemical is in their body, not to mention all the things that they were doing prior to that. What did their diet look like? What were they consuming? How are they lifestyling themselves, literally lifestyling themselves to death before that actually happened? So just something to think about. You guys are on the right track. You guys are doing the things necessary. Again, can't stress it enough. Stay part of the community.
It's called and they reallocated it, right? And they call it now the clot shot for a reason. Just like, COVID-19 is not causing high blood pressure, just like COVID-19 didn't cause the death of a shark attack victim or somebody jumping out of an airplane with no parachute. That is not a COVID-19 death, guys, but that's how they were doing this nonsense. So don't fall for the okie doke. They've ran this play multiple times. They've played millions of us. When they pull this crap again, and they're doing it right now, we all have to say no. We all have to say no. Stand up for what you know is right. We're not a silent majority. We are a majority. Silent majority is a bullcrap term to keep us all quiet. We're not going to stay quiet. We're going to tell the truth. We're going to fight for what's right. And just like you said, Dr. Rob, I'm less interested in what people say because I really don't know anything about somebody for sure when they tell me about something. But if I watch their behavior and I watch what they do, I know everything I need to know about that person. So open up your eyes, listen, see how people behave, watch what they're doing. And that's one of the things I love about you guys in our community. We're not just saying it, we're living it, we're preaching it, and we're putting it into implementation, which goes way further than just clanging a bunch of cymbals together and being loud.
Exactly. So there you have it. So that concludes what's in the news, the truth about health, wellness, and what's actually going on out there.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at The Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.